Dana White, you remember my name? I am Welterweight Champion. 1-2 years, I am UFC Champion, inshallah.
Spin kick sets him down.
Just laughed off by the Serda.
Oh, he's gone. His legs have gone.
This could be over
Like
quickly
it's
here.
over, eh? It's over.
It's
He's
over,
gone.
he's
He's
out.
out.
Wow.
Wow.
Very soon, the undefeated fighter of the world's best league from Kazakhstan and a number 10 ranked welterweight in the face of Shavkat Rakhmonov will enter the octagon to extend his win streak and make waves. Considering this news, we present to you the overview of all fights in the Nomad's professional career. Please don't forget about the likes, comments with forwards, and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Number 1. Adam Surov, M-1 Challenge 52. The professional career of Shavkat Rakhmonov officially started on October 17th of 2014. Back then, at the 52nd event, he shared the cage with a local unbeatable prospect from Ingushetia, Adam Surov. The fight began. Fighters spent a couple of seconds in the octagon measuring each other out. Then it was followed by some exchanges and the Kazakh fighter decided to attack. He tried to start with pressure, but his opponent reacted in time and took Shavkat to the ground. Rakhmonov answered with a timely guillotine. He held Surov in that position for some time. However, he managed to escape and the fight continued. Adam tried his best to do damage, while the Kazakh was doing everything in his power to offer opposition. Tied his hands, did not let him pass the guard and tried to find a way to change the positioning. A few moments later, fighters got back to their feet, from where Shavkat went for another guillotine attempt, but this time the standing one. Surov did everything he could to break free, and at some point he managed to do so. He pressed Rakhmonov against the ropes. However, it was already clear that by that moment he was exhausted. Spending the rest of his energy in an attempt to take the opponent down, the Ingushetia representative found himself in a trap. Nomad reacted timely and executed a triangle. This time round, there was no escaping. Thus, Shavkat Rakhmonov earned his first professional win in mixed martial arts. Number 2. Marcus Vinicius, Kazakhstan MMA Federation Battle of the Nomads 2. Half a month later, the Kazakh went up against the Brazilian Marcus Vinicius. By that moment, the latter already had a record of 7 wins and 8 losses, and as history showed, the clash with the Nomad happened to be the last one for him. The beginning of the fight was quite unusual. As soon as the referee gave a sign starting the bout, he immediately paused it to wipe the Brazilian with a towel. Then the fight resumed. Fighters exchanged with a couple of shots and kicks, and then tied in the clinch in one of the corners. The referee interfered once again and put fighters in the center of the ring. Shavkat went for his opponent and began to continuously attack him. Vinicius responded to the pressure and took Rakhmonov to the ground. From there, he couldn't continue his counterattack because the Kazakh instantly tied his limbs and did not let him do anything. After that, fighters got back to their feet again. Rakhmonov turned up even more and soon answered with his own throw to the ground. Marcus spent some time desperately trying to resist such an onslaught from Shavkat, but in the end, he ultimately couldn't oppose him with anything. The referee stopped the fight at the very end of the first round, giving the Nomad his second stoppage win in the professional career. Number 3. Bartosz Chirek, M-1 Challenge 57. In May of 2015, Rakhmonov faced a fighter from Poland, Bartosz Chirek. Their bout took place at the M-1 Challenge 57th event. The fight started off, and in less than a minute, Bartosz performed an explosive takedown and began to hold the Kazakh on the ground. Shavkat reacts and immediately closes the guard. The Polish searched for the win by trying to execute a leg submission, but Rakhmonov got up momentarily. The Polish fighter goes for another takedown and once again takes his opponent down. Shavkat spends some time on the bottom, but manages to advance to a dominant position himself. From there, the Kazakh lands a couple of punches. However, Bartos goes for another submission. Nomad is not making harsh movements and smoothly gets closer to the Polish fighter's head. Suddenly, he goes for the offense himself and beats his opponent up till he gets completely shut down. And there it was, the third consecutive first round win. What a great start. Number 4. Mikhail Winchek, M-1 Challenge 59. Exactly 2 months later, the Nomad came back in the game. On July the 3rd, he faced another representative from Poland, Mikhail Winchek, performing in the main card of the 59th event. The fight begins with active pressure from the Polish. Winchek attacks Rakhmonov, throwing different strikes, but doesn't react to a sudden counter from the Kazakh and, being wobbled, gets taken down to the ground. From there, Shavkat controls the tide of the fight and drags Mikhail closer to the ropes. He tries to change the position, but at that moment, the Polish fighter uses an opportunity to get up. Nomad reacts simultaneously with his opponent and grabs Winchek's neck to execute a guillotine. A few moments later, the Polish surrenders. 49 seconds and 4-0. Number 5. Adil Boranbayev, Kazakhstan MMA Federation. The next appearance of Shavkat Rakhmonov took place only in April of 2016 at the 7th Battle of the Nomads. He was up against his countryman Adil Boranbayev in the main event of the evening. The fight begins with a feeling out process. Boran tries to actively circle while Shavkat looks for an opportunity to attack from the center of the ring. 1.5 minutes later, Rakhmonov throws a kick, which Boranbayev capitalizes on as an opportunity to shoot for the single leg. Nomad stuffs the takedown attempt and fighters tie up in the clinch. For some time, Adil holds Shavkat against the ropes. When he tries to execute a throw, the opponent defends it again and clinching continues. Athletes are pressed against the ropes again, and now the referee has to separate them. Shavkat tries to catch up with a spinning kick and a following attack. He continues to pressure his opponent, not forgetting to throw leg strikes. In the last minute, he manages to get the fight to the ground, grabbing Boranbayev's back, but not for too long. Adil had time to escape and wait on delaying Shavkat for the rest of the round. The next 5 minutes started in the same manner. Rakhmonov pressured his countryman in the stand-up and constantly threatened him with sharp kicks. Closer to the middle of the round, Boranbayev manages to take the fight to the ground. He tries to lay Rakhmonov down, however, that wasn't a great idea. At that very moment, Shavkat showed the difference in their skills when he took the top position and began to smash his opponent almost till the end of the round. Only at the last moment did he decide to switch from ground and pound to submission, grabbed Boranbayev's back and scored the 5th win in a premature fashion. Number 6. Marcelo Brito, M-1 Challenge 67. On June the 4th of the same year, Shavkat Rakhmonov faced the Brazilian veteran Marcelo Brito. This fight took place at the 67th event of the M-1 Challenge. As soon as the fight started, the Kazakh rushed into the action and, being the first number, methodically pressed his opponent to the ropes. The Brazilian fighter feels the threat and is not in a hurry to demonstrate his striking skills. Half a minute later, Marcelo tries to shoot for the legs, but in vain. Shavkat continues to stalk his opponent and begins to land. Brito tries to grab Shavkat's legs once again, but this attempt to take the fight to the ground was also stopped. Rakhmonov attacks the Brazilian another time and lands, while being annoyed that Marcelo is not even trying to answer the shots. Finally, the Kazakh gets bored with that. The very next attack to the body puts an exclamation mark in this rivalry and successfully extends his streak to 6 consecutive victories. Number 7. Junyong Park, Kazakhstan MMA Federation Battle of Nomads 9. Already on August the 7th, the Nomad performed at the 9th event of the local promotion. Another main event featured a clash between Shavkat Rakhmonov and the South Korea representative Junyong Park. The fight began in the usual manner of the Kazakh fighter. First, the necessary strikes in the stand-up, then the opponent's attempt to take the fight to the ground. Counter from Shavkat, and the opponent got to a tough position himself. When fighters got back to their feet, Jun Park decided to suddenly toss Rakhmonov back there, but the Nomad, as always, answered with a guillotine. The Korean managed to escape the tough situation and set a goal to keep his opponent on the lower level. Shavkat countered with decent work on the ground and attempts to execute a triangle or an armbar. Right after that, it was followed by another guillotine threat from the Kazakh, but the South Korean went through all the hard situations with honor. For the most part, fighters spent the rest of the round on the ground, except for the last minute that was as high-paced and more competitive. The next 5 minutes were literally one-sided. Shavkat Rakhmonov completely downloaded his opponent, and when the time came, he reacted in time and pushed where it was needed. In less than 2 minutes, the Nomad took Jun Park's back and scored the 7th stoppage victory in a row. Brilliant performance. Number 8. Levan Solodovnik, M-1 Challenge 87. The 8th appearance of the fighter from Kazakhstan happened on February the 9th of 2018 at the 87th event of the M-1 Challenge. The Nomad faced the Russian representative Levan Solodovnik, whose record at the time was 5 wins and 1 loss. After a rather long break, many wondered in what shape Rakhmonov was going to come back. It was the Russian who went forward almost from the very start. He pressed his opponent against the ropes and looked for a takedown. He did his best to throw Shavkat to the ground, but eventually found himself in the bottom position. For some time, the Nomad controlled his opponent, but not for too long. Solodovnik wanted to catch up and soon exploded again. He tossed Shavkat on the canvas, but even that attempt could hardly be called a takedown. Soon, the fighters got back to their common position, the clinch against the ropes, from where the Russian athlete couldn't come up with anything better than to just go for another takedown attempt and get under Rakhmonov once again. The end of the round got on the crowd's nerves. At first, the Kazakh utilized ground and pound. Solodovnik answered with a sweep. Shavkat tries to look for a submission, and the 5-minute ended with Levan's attempt to score the finish. The next round was no less intense. After exchanging a couple of blows, the guys tied in the clinch. This time, Nomad did not hesitate and executed a throw. Around a half of the time, the Russian athlete spent under Rakhmonov. When he finally managed to get up, Shavkat did not let him go and pressed him against the ropes. With 2 minutes left, the guys once again treated the crowd with a vicious clash. Shavkat tossed Solodovnik one more time from where he couldn't escape. Soon, the Nomad executed a triangle and for more than a minute held the Russian's head, who was desperately trying to escape. Eventually, with 18 seconds till the end of the second round, the referee stopped the fight and Shavkat came back into the big game with the 8th consecutive win. Number 9. Faridun Odilov, Battle of Nomads 10. 3 months later, the undefeated prospect faced a fighter from Tajikistan, Faridun Odilov. He once again competed in the main event of the evening. Shavkat Rakhmonov's 9th professional fight happened to be the first one in his career that reached the 3rd round. For a long 2.5 rounds, the Kazakh was persistently forcing his will on his no less tenacious opponent. The guy went all out and constantly searched for ways to win. But what is more notable is that Rakhmonov's skills, despite a young age, were astonishing. He is good not only with his offense, but the defense as well. Or more so, it's not exclusively applied to Shavkat's striking technique. As you can see, the Nomad is efficient in every aspect. And the most interesting thing is that when people expect some actions from the guy in the stand-up, he impresses with his ground game, and vice versa. That's the case in this fight. And another thing is that was the very fight when Rakhmonov found himself in possibly the toughest situation. With 1 minute left in the second round, Faridun briefly snatched the initiative and managed to send the Nomad in a dangerous knockdown. Luckily, the Kazakh showed his heart and made it to the end of the round. and by the middle of the third one, Shavkat tosses Odilov to the ground himself, where he TKO'd him, after which the referee stopped the fight. 9 in a row for the talented prospect. Number 10. Rinat Saikbayev, Kazakhstan MMA Federation Battle of Nomads 11. On the anniversary of his 10th fight, Shavkat Rakhmonov shared the octagon with Kyrgyzstan descendant Rinat Saikbayev. Their fight took place on December the 8th at the 11th event of the same local league. The fight lasted for the whole 5 minutes, during which Nomad continued to pressure his opponent with the same crystal clear confidence and supersede him in every single aspect of the fight. Eventually, closer to the end of the first round, it became evident that the finish was not too far. And formally, that's exactly what happened. Shavkat Rakhmonov extended his winning march due to the opponent's refusal to continue. 10-0 in the professionals. That guy definitely deserves your attention. Number 11. Danila Prikasa, M-1 Challenge 101. In the end of March 2019, Nomad from Kazakhstan faced another Russian fighter, Danila Prikasa. The fight between the two happened in the main event of the evening at M-1 Challenge 101. The first round of the main event started off dynamic. Both sides utilized various kicks and combinations. Closer to the middle, Rakhmonov pressed the Russian to the ropes and began to use heavy knees straight to the midsection. Prikasa tried to resist, but Shavkat was holding the initiative entirely. The guys briefly separated and exchanged with another portion of sharp strikes. But either way, the end of the round was in clinch, with the Kazakh continuing his onslaught. In the next one, Nomad pushed an already high pace even more and took his opponent to the ground.
On the takedown attempt, nicely done.
He gradually began to methodically dismantle the Russian into small pieces. The situation of the latter was getting tougher with each second. In the end, Shavkat Rakhmonov earned his 11th stoppage win via TKO.
He's out! That was some solid ground and pound here.
Number 12. Tiago Varejao, M-1 Challenge 102. At the next event of M1 on June the 28th of 2019, the undefeated prospect from Kazakhstan faced the Brazilian fighter Tiago Varejao. That clash was also the main event of the evening. The fight took off. The guys met each other in the center of the ring and began to exchange the best strikes from their arsenal. With the very first connections, the advantage sided with the Nomad. The Kazakh decided to develop his success and threw his opponent on the ground. He tried to hold him down, but the Brazilian managed to get back to his feet. Shavkat did not despair and waited for the right moment. With the second attempt, Rakhmonov held Tiago on the ground much longer. Overall domination of the Nomad eventually led to his expected 12th win already at the end of the first round.
By the third.
Oh, he's gone! His legs have gone! He's out! Look at his first round knockout!
That fight happened to be the last one for the Kazakh in the Russian league. Number 13. Alex Oliveira, UFC 254. After beating Tiago Varejao, the undefeated prospect from Kazakhstan was absent in the octagon for more than 16 months. His next appearance happened on October the 24th of 2020. Rakhmonov had his 13th professional fight already within the walls of the world's best league, on the same card with the retired Khabib Nurmagomedov, and his opponent happened to be another Brazilian fighter, Alex Oliveira. The 26-year-old Nomad beat his opponent with no issues and successfully broke into the premier MMA promotion. Already in the end of the first round, the Kazakh adjusted to the Brazilian style, tied his opponent in the clinch and executed a very tight guillotine, making Alex Oliveira surrender.
The guillotine is my move. He made a mistake and I capitalized on it. You know, I have certain finishes. I have finished all my fight. You know, it's my goal to make an exciting fight as possible for all the fans watching.
Number 14. Michel Prazeres, UFC Fight Night 190. In June of 2021, Shavkat Rakhmonov came out to fight the third Brazilian in a row. At Fight Night 190, he shared the octagon with a fighter called Michel Prazeres. That fight lasted a little longer than the previous one, but let's be honest, it didn't look more competitive at all. After a series of heavy blows in the first 5 minutes, Nomad's huge advantage in anthropometry helped him to execute a choke already in the second round and extend his win streak via a stoppage.
For me, every fight is a big responsibility, but it's a pressure I can handle. I just want to beat everyone I face.
Number 15. Carlston Harris, UFC Fight Night 200. In the beginning of February 2022, the unstoppable fighter from Kazakhstan had his third in recent year fight inside the UFC. His next opponent happened to be Guyana representative Carlston Harris, and that bout was held at the anniversary of Fight Night 200.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it like everything going higher that the media focus on me right now. But you know, I'm ready for this too because I know my goals and I'm ready for this too. If you want to go too high, you need to be ready for this too.
This time, Shavkat needed only 4 minutes and 10 seconds to finish his opponent. When the Kazakh turned up and took over the distance, he executed a spectacular spinning back kick, followed by a brutal finish with a vicious ground and pound. The prospect from Guyana couldn't oppose him with anything. 15-0.
It's still a huge...
Number 16, Neil Magny, UFC on ESPN 38. On June the 25th of 2022, the Nomad from Kazakhstan had his most recent professional fight. A 3-fight winning streak in the main promotion and 15-0 in the overall record convinced the UFC that Rakhmonov deserved an opportunity to break into the top 15. The first ranked welterweight to meet him was the American fighter Neil Magny. Not knowing the taste of defeat, the prospect got done with his opponent in just 2 incomplete rounds. That tight guillotine from Nomad, that can already be recognized as his trump card, did not give Magny any chances to survive. And as always, at first the Kazakh once again impressed everybody with his work in the clinch, then on the ground, from where he ultimately executed the submission choke. One of the most promising current UFC fighters has an immaculate record of 16 wins with no losses.
I'm very happy to make my country proud, to make all my countrymates happy. You know, I beat the top 10 guy. Step by step, we're gonna get the title.
There it is, guys. As we said in the beginning, very soon Shavkat Rakhmonov will return to the main octagon to extend his win streak and get closer to the coveted top 5. Right now, the resume of this guy is more than impressive. 16 wins, 8 submissions and 8 knockouts, and only 1 fight reached the 3rd round. If it continues to go in this way, we can assume that in the future, we're going to hear very interesting news about the Nomad from Kazakhstan. And that's it for now. See you soon.